Watching leftists tell jokes is like watching a rat give birth in your kitchen.
Oh.
Thanks for the endorsement, Bill. Took you long enough.
Sorry, Hillary. I was running on CP time.
That's not. I don't like jokes like that, Bill. That's not.
Cautious politician time.
People think surgery is painful to watch. No, that was painful to watch. That was harder to watch than Zoolander 2. The punchline, instead of referring to colored people, CP meant cautious politician. The mayor is as funny as rigor mortis. It would have been better if he said corrupt politician, callous putz, or cadaverous pothead. His head's shaped like a pot, you know. But the joke went over as well as the invasion of Libya. Maybe Hillary can blame this on a video, too. But the left reaps what they sow. They create the hypersensitive fishbowl we live in now, and when they poop in it, they deserve the wrath from all sides. But I'm sure they thought the joke was fine because a black guy was in on it. But if Republicans had done this, the left would have called that guy an Uncle Tom. Yeah, the joke was bad, but there's worse. Like New York under de Blasio, another great city stained by fiendish slashings, homeless hell, and graft. It's like de Blasio found an old copy of Death Wish and thought, the good old days. So the joke is not the CP line, it's this mayor, and it's that we continue to elect these progressives to great cities only to see under their rule savagery return in an ugly, bloody fury. The joke isn't on blacks, it's on all of us, and it's one that never seems to die.
Whew.
Juan, you're black.
Yeah, but
Yes.
and I live in a big city. You unleashed on that one.
Yeah, I can't stand him. How bad was that joke in your mind? Was it bad or just...
No, in fact, you know what was interesting today was the number of white people who said to me, "What's CP time?"
Exactly.
You know,
I had no idea.
I was like, that is so common. I mean, but you know what? It could be also, someone said to me, is my age, that it's a generational thing, that it was much more common before, but gosh, I hear that all the time.
You do? Still?
Yeah. Well, because I'm late all the time.
Yeah, usually from Jedediah, which is disgusting. Racist Jedediah.
And I'm being 100%, I've never heard it before, and I'm trying to figure, is it the C part of it, or the part that it's basically saying African Americans are late? I mean, or is it all of it? It's just offensive across the board.
I didn't think it was offensive. I thought it was like an inside joke. It's like people say mañana. You know, if you're in Latin America, people go, oh yeah, they always come tomorrow, mañana a lot. I mean, it's just like a funny thing, but it's not. I don't. The only part is if you said colored people, because that's so antiquated.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is it that that's offensive, or is it the fact that
it's not offensive to me? I just thought it was old-fashioned. And of course, look, I thought Greg was on target. Look, you have a black actor there. If that black actor had been in on a conservative joke, he would have. Greg's honest. He would have been labeled a Tom.
Even though de Blasio is married to an African American.
Do I what?
Even though he's married to an African American.
But that's not your get-out-of-jail card.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's comedy.
It's comedy.
Is it comedy,
though? Comedy. No, I'm asking. I don't know, because a lot of times there are things that are said that are offensive by comedians, or if you say it at a table like this, you're apologizing for it.
I think the problem with it was that it wasn't actually funny. I mean, you should be offended as a comedian, not as, you know, an African-American person. It wasn't funny. And it's the same thing. I mean, it's like racist jokes. It's like joking about rape. Like, it's just not funny. So I don't know why. I don't know who wrote that joke. I don't know who told them to do it. When they were standing out there, how did they go, this is a great idea, let's do this?
That's the thing I'm wondering, Jedediah, is how did that get through the script? I happen to think, I mean, maybe, why does it bother me more than it bothers Juan? It's colored, CP, a joke about colored people.
Say it again.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to offend me. I actually think good comedy should offend you. I like when I'm in an audience, when I'm watching a comedy show, and I'm uncomfortable. I think it makes me laugh. I think, so I mean, it's hard to offend me. With that being said, with his delivery, I mean, nothing could be funny. Yeah. But I don't think it's a greatly executed joke. But there should be a different set of standards, I think, for comedians than if we were sitting at this table and we were saying something like that. We're not aiming to be funny about it. We would be talking about news, or comedians get on stage and they're supposed to sort of rub you the wrong way or rough you up a little bit.
I disagree. I don't think that you are allowed some kind of immunity bubble because you're a comedian. All of us should have the immunity bubble. And if you screw up, you screw up. Yeah. But I don't think that because you're on stage that allows you anything special.
But this offended you, though?
I thought that it was the phrase itself is offensive. I think it is.
And that was why I was getting
I
at with
do
one.
too.
Is it the phrase that's offensive or
Yes.
the innuendo that African Americans are late all the time? Which one is
It's
it?
the same thing.
He's not offended, so he can't answer that.
No, but I'm
Vito.
going to say, so I like comedy that pushes the line, right? And that
too.
explodes stereotypes and plays contradicts what you perceive about race or gender politics, sexual politics. I like that. But the problem with this, as Melissa points out, it just wasn't that funny. It's funny in the sense that, hey, guess what? They're willing to push the line on a racial issue, right? And people like Blasio and Hillary Clinton, those people never would do that.
Well, you know what it is? It's because we know they would destroy us.
Yeah.
That's what it is. They would destroy us if anybody
but
even
generally, I mean, we talk about the First Amendment. We talk about we should all have the ability to make a joke and laugh about it and go, okay, we don't mean any harm to anyone, but we can't because of the divide.
Yeah.
On the left, there's an acceptable norm, and on the right, it's completely different.
But like if Chris Rock, right? Chris Rock talks about going to the club, right? Says we're having a great time at the club, and then certain people, I'm not going to say that word, I don't even say it in my private life, but certain people show up, and we're talking about a subset of black people. And he starts using that N-word, right?
Right.
And everybody in the audience is howling with laughter because this is among black people, right?
Right.
Now, do you get a get out of jail card for Chris Rock, a black comedian, using that word?
And why use get out of jail card, assuming he's in jail?
No, and that was, maybe you don't understand what I'm saying. The colored part is no longer, it's now considered racist, right?
No, it's antiquated.
No.
If
I
you
think
call me
it's considered
that
racist.
was
No.
racist.
I believe
Over here,
that.
over here.
And that's where we have the disconnect right now.
We have De Blasio explaining the joke. We've been talking about it. Let's have him explain it.
It was clearly a staged show, it was a scripted show, and the whole idea was to do the counterintuitive and say cautious politician time. Every actor involved, including Hillary Clinton and Leslie Odom Jr., thought it was a joke on a different convention. That was the whole idea of it. So I think people are missing the point here.
It's our fault.
What is a joke on another convention? What is that? Did you see Erin Burnett's face there? She was like, no.
Yeah.
Not funny.
Imagine
Wasn't
Ted
even
Cruz.
remotely funny.
Imagine Ted Cruz had made that joke and then went on television and explained it that way, and imagine the response that he would get. People would be outraged, but because it's De Blasio, they're like, oh, okay, he meant no harm. That's the problem, that there's a huge disparity between, it's acceptable for some people to offend in a certain way and not for others.
It wouldn't be acceptable to me for either of them to do the joke. I think it's a racist joke and it's inappropriate.
But the bigger crime is that what he's turning the city into. I mean, come on, 2 days ago, another homeless guy slashed an Israeli tourist, and this is happening a lot. There are people out there. The homeless complaints have risen up to something like 20,000 from 15,000 over 2 years. This city is returning to the era of taxi driver. It really is.
That's true. But you think people, so in other words, you think when he gets on the stage, people should hold him accountable for that instead of listening to his
He's doing
jokes?
more harm that way with his lousy jokes. That joke really didn't hurt anybody.
Or
But
rather than practicing the joke, maybe he should go mayor of the city, is your point.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe show up on time to things. Can we talk about this new poll? Race tension is at a 15-year high. High, literally. Risen in the latter half of the Obama presidency. 35% are worried about race relations. That's up 17% from 2014. Juan, who do you think is to blame? Do you think it's partially Obama? Do you think it's partially the media? Do you think it's academia, which is, in my mind, has turned race into a major?
Well, you know what you got to do is dig in on these numbers, because what was interesting to me is, guess who really has seen a jump in terms of their concern about race relations? It's liberals, not conservatives. And guess what? It's black people, not white people. So why have we seen this large jump in the last 2 to 4 year period? And I think it has a lot to do with things like, Black Lives Matter, the police and poor black people, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, all that kind of stuff. And people feeling freer, I think, to speak about it. And then you get a black president who will get involved. And sometimes people say he's reckless in terms of what he has to say about it. But I think that you have more freedom from black and Latinos who say for the first time, hey, you know what? I'm concerned about something like this.
I think the media plays a big role in terms of what we choose to cover. We cover stories that, you know, if there's black on white violence or white on black violence, that gets amplified for some reason. But if you have black on black violence in the city of Chicago, or people die every day, they're shot every day within the black community or within the white community, that has nothing to do with race, that for some reason isn't an interesting angle or an interesting story. And I think we selectively sometimes blow up stories, and then it paints a picture for the country of a racial, you know, reality that may or may not be the case, but it amplifies certain things at the expense of others. So media absolutely has a role. And I don't think the president, just because he's African American, I don't think that Barack Obama was going to change the entire dynamic of race relations in this country. Even though he said he was going to be a great unifier, and maybe people say, well, you didn't do what you said you were going to do. He's one man. He cannot change everything. You need local communities and families to come together. This is an issue that all of us have to address together.
But he did say he was going to change what the levels of the oceans. So I mean, if he could do that, Eric, he could probably.
But let's also not forget when President Obama, who clearly said he came out on race when he said if I had a son he would look like Trayvon Martin. That was dramatic. That was a dramatic comment that couldn't have just been, hey, he's just weighing in on it. He also had Eric Holder. Remember Eric Holder during, I believe it was Trayvon Martin as well, talking about when he was a young African-American boy with his father walking through a department store, security would follow them around. I mean, the Obama administration has perpetrated or has heightened the race debate in America over the last 6 years, and I don't think it's gotten better. I think it's, as Greg points out, gotten worse according to that poll.
Do you think it's worse because you heard that, or do you think that it's a reality?
Because
it's real.
It didn't really. Why am I hearing President Obama weighing in that his son would look like Trayvon Martin? I'm not really understanding, other than to create more race tension.
Because he's saying, you know, what this kid he felt was unfairly attacked, and it had to do with race, and that, you know, young black boys wearing a hoodie. They're oftentimes stereotyped.
And the problem is there are so many occurrences of crime, as Jedi points out.
Right.
He chose that one to weigh in on, which was heightening the racial tension in America.
But she's right when she says it's about the media, because we cover things that are out of the ordinary. That's what makes it news. So if there is black on black violence in Chicago every day, by definition, a lot of times it's not covered because it happens every day. So it doesn't sound like news. It gives you, from the outside, a skewed perspective on what's going on.
The tragedy of the mundane of the tragedy. It's true.
Beautifully said.
But it's true. It's like we got so used to this stuff.
Right.
That's what's sad. All right.